What's going on, guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name's Michael Roman, aka Allfires. Okay, quick question. What do Avengers 5 and Spider-Man 4 have in common, other than the fact that they're both going to film this year? And if you guessed it, the script isn't done, you'd be correct. Now, if you missed our most recent video on this, obviously Avengers 5 Doomsday is a lot more under the gun because they're rolling film on that in about 2 months in March. There's not a lot of time for them to make sweeping revisions and changes. For Spider-Man 4, it seems like they haven't even gotten traction or off the ground, which is also concerning considering they kind of have to roll film by the deadline of September in this year. So it seems like that would be top priority for Sony. But now we're getting massive reports about scripts that could have been in the wake of the news that they're scrapping it from Daniel Rickman last week, and 2 separate reports came out this week that included some villains we've already been introduced to in the MCU, as well as a separate report that had a hero we haven't been introduced to alongside the Hulk. We're going to break down all the latest for the scrapped scripts for what was going to be stories for Spider-Man 4, talk about them in context, and of course look forward to what the script is probably going to end up becoming. But first, if you could, quick reminder, hit the subscribe button. We do daily Marvel content at the channel. That's all we do. So if that sort of thing's for you, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment down below. That will automatically enter you to win our ongoing PS5 giveaway. Next one is right around the corner for Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. If you want, stick around to the end of the video. We get into all the giveaway stuff again there. Okay, so early reports for Spider-Man 4 said a ton of different things that obviously weren't true. It was indicated that Noel was introduced during Venom 3 because that was the future for the character, right? As a villain in Spider-Man 4, as Venom and Spider-Man team up, and that just wasn't true. We found out Sony didn't have any really long-term plan set in stone. They just asked Andy Serkis to do it on a whim to try to spice up the movie and maybe give fans a chance for something in the future. There's no plans, or never were any plans for that to be Spider-Man 4, so all of those rumors that the movie might be titled King in Black just weren't true. The rumors turned out to be completely false. But as it turns out, what wasn't false were the rumors that Spider-Man was in flux, as Sony and Marvel were having a really hard time coming together to figure out what to do with the character. And to make matters worse, because of the conditions on the rights agreement, Sony has to roll film on this movie. They have basically left it to the last minute. Now we're going to talk about what might be the problem here, because it might have nothing to do with Spider-Man or Sony or Marvel. There's a bigger thing at play. Some of you might guess what it is. We'll talk about that at the end of the video. But in the meantime, in the wake of the rumors that they couldn't come together on what this film should be, we found out recently from Daniel RPK that not only are they still rewriting it, but that original scrapped script, the 2 villains were Shocker and Scorpion, obviously introduced in the very first Spider-Man movie. Now, all respect to Michael Mando, I love him as an actor. I think he absolutely should come back as Scorpion. You can sort of see from why, as a bird's eye view of this, not only are they in the middle of the 2 Avengers movies, which are going to be huge events, this Spider-Man 4 has to follow up Spider-Man No Way Home in some way. And even though it seems like the end of No Way Home meant to reset him as a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, it just seems like it would be a bit of a letdown if there were no Tobey, no Andrew, even though I think they shouldn't do that, no multiversal elements at all, and it didn't tie to Avengers 5 and Avengers 6, which again is part of the problem. In the meantime, a separate script we're hearing about is there was a chance at some point that Sony wanted Marvel to allow them to use the Punisher, again, which we haven't been introduced to yet, but will in Daredevil, and him and Punisher would team up against the Hulk. That simply doesn't make any sense. You've got to move so many pieces on the chessboard that haven't been moved yet. The Hulk would have to be Savage Hulk in order for that to make sense. You really can't see a storyline where it's Professor Hulk versus the Punisher and Spider-Man. They would just talk it out. We've already seen his stance on violence, plus Professor Hulk has been a very, level-headed character so far in the MCU, basically the voice of reason, and for all we know, he's going to be in that form when he starts the new Avengers with Wong and Captain Marvel, as has been indicated by industry insiders like the Cosmic Circus. So with the first version now scrapped, having ground-level heroes, and then moving away from doing something like a Spider-Man and Punisher versus the Hulk, which, where would Daredevil be in all of that? It seems like the thing that is the problem really isn't Spider-Man, Marvel, or Sony at all. The thing that is the problem is where it's coming in the middle of the Multiverse Saga. I don't even think the hangover from No Way Home applies even more, i.e. if Tobey and Andrew aren't in this film, I do not think it's the end of the world. We assume they'll figure out a way to bring them in for Avengers Secret Wars. But in the same way they'll quote-unquote figure that out, they're still trying to figure out the ending of Avengers 5. That is the main problem. Spider-Man is going to be in Avengers 5. We already know Tom Holland has a huge year this year with filming. And if you don't know how and what it's going to look like when you end Avengers 5. You can't do a Spider-Man 4 with that character just months later that don't include the wake of those events unless you make it a prequel, which we talk about all the time at the channel. Sony's not trying to do that. They never work out great. It's never the same excitement for a prequel when it's set somewhere behind what you've already seen. Sony's not going to do that with Spider-Man 4. So basically, not only are they up against trying to make this movie as big as the two Avengers films in the middle of it, but they probably can't even really put it together until Marvel tells them how Avengers 5 ends, what that looks like, and where and how Peter Parker exists in that context. That's where the story would need to pick up. They might have a loose idea of this, but it doesn't mean they have concrete details. And you can't really start to formulate a script unless you have those details, which basically just highlights the problem when you have this many movies that are working together. And Marvel may have been able to play it safe with all these Disney Plus TV shows, shoot some of these movies, wrapping everything up with a bow, and then just introducing a brand new character in the post-credit scenes and never addressing them. But when it comes to huge concurrent titles like this, where they all have to work together, it's a near impossibility. And honestly, given that there might not be another Marvel movie between Avengers Secret Wars and Doomsday, Spider-Man 4 has to do a lot of heavy lifting. It needs to feel like it's part of the three and might need to include elements of stories that are important to the Multiverse Saga. That's why I think the easiest thing they can do now with all of the pieces in play is make it a Spider-Man and Fantastic Four story. That is 1000% what they should do. They have huge overlaps in the comics. It can absolutely fill in as that movie they needed to be after Fantastic Four and Avengers 5. You can move so many of the pieces around when you have Reed Richards in play for the multiverse. I just think that is the clear way forward, using the popularity of those characters and the recency of them as major players for Avengers Secret Wars. You guys let me know though all your thoughts down below. It seems like it's a mess, and it's always easy to do that from the outside looking in as people are working on art. Usually you're not privy to that process, but also usually you have a script in place before you even think about making a movie. And unfortunately, because these films are all cog in a much bigger machine, they have to turn at the pace of the machine right now, Marvel Studios, and right now that machine is racing towards a finish line that it doesn't seem like either studio is prepared for. You guys let me know all your thoughts and reactions down below. Quickly hit that sub button, leave a comment on the video to be entered to win the PS5. Make sure you hit the notification bell with all notifications turned on to keep up with the videos. Of course, if you liked the video, hit the like button. My name's Michael Roman. You can find me in a couple of places, Instagram and Twitter at @I'mFires. You can also find me on Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, Apple, iTunes, wherever you listen to original music under the name Allfires. And while I would sincerely appreciate you checking my music out, thanks for checking this channel out. Stick around. We'll be posting again real soon.